So Justyn, what are you doing?
We're just taking care of anything high and low spots on the car, basically getting rid of the old paint.
What are you doing? How are you doing it?
I'm sanding off the old paint, and then I'm putting a show coat? Glide coat to see any high or low spots.
What sandpaper are you using?
Right, so for the front end, I'm using 100 grit. I don't want to take too much off it, being that it's a fiberglass nose.
Do you know what you're doing?
Of course not. Of course not.
We're learning as we're going.
Pretty much. I've done a little bit here and there, but nothing as intense or deep as this. So, basically just made it to where I can close my eyes and drag my hand across it and not feel any lines or seams.
Yeah, so let me add this. He's taking out the paint, and we don't really know what that means until you get there, right? Some places you have to go deeper, some places are okay, but if you take paint off, you don't want to leave it like a ledge, exaggerated ledge. So then we kind of what do you call it? Feather it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we don't have to take off 100% of all the old paint, but the parts that we do take off are good chunks of it, and then we'll just feather the edge of what's still somewhat nice. And
because if you take all the old paint, I mean, where do you stop? The only place to stop is metal. So we don't want to go. I don't want to strip the whole car because that creates rust problems. Like right here, he's gonna. What are you gonna have to prime that today or something?
Yeah, I'm not gonna let that sit any longer than I have to, bare metal. So I took the grinder and used a flap disc with 36 or 8 grit. We had some rough paint in this area.
How do you tell if it's bad?
So if you kind of get parallel with it and look down it, you'll see whenever there's like pitted areas, like I don't know if you can see it on camera, but like if you look down this door, there's a decent dent right here. Well, you can't see that when it's all uniform black. But when we sand it a little bit, put some white on it, and then just kind of drag sand it, it'll show, because the sandpaper on a block, whenever you drag it across, is only going to hit the higher spots. If it's a dent, that dent's going to stay white, the primer.
But what does that have to do with paint? Taking paint. How do you know when the paint's bad?
Oh, so I just look at it and you can see hatching in it, basically cracked up where age and time, sunlight's cooked it.
Or rust spots.
And you can feel it. So I'll close my eyes and do this, and like I can feel right here slightly where that's a high spot. And basically, and then I open my eyes and you can see there's a little nick there.
So what happens if you hit that with sandpaper right now? See, nothing is really coming off. I mean, it's what all I'm saying is, you know, we haven't been doing this for 20 years. We haven't been doing it for 10 years. We haven't been doing it for 5 years. We haven't been doing it for 2 years. Haven't been doing it for 1 year. You know, so the point is, we just do the best you can on everything. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely nothing loose about that. I mean, that is stuck.
That's a perfect example of what we're doing. That's a low spot. Yeah. So I sanded everything with my palm sander, and that being still there, obviously it's lower than everything around it.
Even though it's a low spot, is that loose paint?
No.
How do you know? You can't reach it with the sandpaper.
I just feel it. So if you feel it and it won't taper. If it won't taper, then it's not as bad. You'll get mixed reviews. If you look online, guys argue. A lot of guys like factory paint on the cars. They'll leave it. A lot of guys like to go down to bare metal. In my opinion, from what I've read, it's a personal choice as far as how you like to get things done.
Let's put it this way. I've talked to people. They want like 17 grand to do what we're doing. I mean, everything, but I don't want to pay 17 grand. It's just stupid. It's just a car. Mm-hmm. We'll just do the best we can, and that's what we want. But if you want to pay somebody, just say, hey, take your car down and do whatever it takes, well, you better have your wallet open.
Fingers crossed that they actually do it right.
Yeah, and they do it right. So here's the light we got. I don't know if you can see in the camera. We got all 4 bulbs going. And look at, move it again. Does it move easy?
Oh yeah, I can move it while sanding.
So now you put the vacuum on it. So the vacuum rolls around on it too. And then there's a shelf on the back. It wasn't planned, but
happened that way.
So I guess what this is all about is anybody that's interested in painting, just do it. Just try. If you're not sure, take it to somebody. But if you got the guts, go for it. Because I don't think it's a big. Do you think it's a big deal?
No, just don't get ahead of yourself. Do one thing at a time. Don't do like me and want to jump around this, that, and the other. Just stick to removing the paint and make notes of low areas, high areas, things like that. And then come back to it once you're done stripping the paint.
So it's pretty hard to show what we're doing, except, okay, just do one spot, like I'm not here.
Okay. Well, like there's some, that's how I can tell the paint's bad. You can see it, it's kind of like hatched up under the primer. Now you can really see it.
And remember, when I worked on this, I threw some primer on there just because I did. I can't, maybe I had Bondo, maybe I don't know. But he's got to make sure that whatever I did, that looks weird right there.
Yeah, so that's old paint. That's what I've been getting rid of, basically, all that.
So what happens if you hit that with the sandpaper?
That's this one. So first I had to get the primer off to get it back down to the black. And then I'll just do something basically like that.
Yeah, it kind of falls off. That's what I think you're saying. The bad stuff just kind of falls off.
Now on the metal, I used a straight razor, like right here. I can actually show you. So, and I learned online as well. A lot of guys they only use razors to get the paint off. But so I can feel all this is obviously you can see it on camera, I'm sure. But once you find a spot, you just start going at it, and it'll come off. And you can even stand it up on edge. And some people can't stand the noise, but
I think what he's saying. This is what I think he's saying, and this is. You know when you're there because you're there. I mean, how do you explain that?
Yeah, it's hard to explain.
But it's still shit coming off. I thought you finished this.
No, this was an area I needed to come back to.
Oh, I hear that? He's trying to get out of it. But a razor blade is going to take off almost anything.
Yeah, down to bare metal.
But again, you hear stories about people saying that they paint a car and then the paint flakes off. So I guess what we're trying to do is stop that from happening. So
yeah, if I can scrape it off that easily, it was going to come off.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
And then when we do the epoxy coat, it's kind of like the difference between a regular glue and epoxy glue. It's going to be harder. I think it's going to be like it's going to put a shell on it. So anyway, this is what he's doing. And a million other different things around the house and stuff. And that's where we are.